Summer. Wait, we need to finish school shopping.
We've got this. Target has $5 lunch boxes.
And now new lower prices on the kids' favorite Good and Gather snacks.
And we're done.
Now, where were we?
When it comes to finishing your supply list, Target has your back to school.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems.
Welcome back to Modern Mom Probs, where we're trying to solve all of the world's modern mom problems. And if we can't do that, at least we're having fun talking about it. Today, we're talking about parenthood, the most beautiful mess. I am joined by a father today, not a modern mother, a modern father. I am joined by Michell C. He is an author, artist, and entrepreneur who helps creative entrepreneurs rewrite their stories to tell themselves where they've been, what they've accomplished. He is the author of Eyes on the Road, a book on personal reflections, gentle reminders, and loving pushes that will help you to stay present, grounded, no matter what is happening in your life. Michell is one of my favorite writers. Each day when he posts on Instagram, his words resonate with me so much. And so when I thought, who could I have on the show that I really respect and I really appreciate, he was one of the first people that came to mind, similar to Corey Allen, who we had on a few weeks ago. If you haven't listened to the episode yet with Corey Allen, I highly recommend it. Corey and Michell are actually really good friends, and I feel like you could listen to these episodes sort of in tandem, one and then the other, because they will just fill you up with such a wonderful feeling. And I knew that I had to have both of these gentlemen on the show to share about their work and to inspire us. And so I am so excited to get into this conversation and to have Michell on the show. So with further ado, welcome to the show. I am so excited that you're here. And I say this all the time, but I've been wanting to chat with you for months, right? I think we first started saying let's get together for a call back in February. And here we are now at the end of June. So, sometimes good things take time and it's worth the wait. But here you are. And we're going to chat about all the things today: parenting, your work, your recent trip with Meta, just all the stuff. But before we get started, I want people to get to know you a little bit more. You are a father, a writer, an entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to be here. And thank you, first and foremost, for being patient, for, of course, knowing what it's like to be a parent who's also working and navigating all the things. But I'm Michell Clark. I am, first and foremost, a husband and a father. My daughter will be 3 in August. And I write and talk a lot about the things that I struggle with internally. I don't share every thought in my head, but I share a lot of the things that people are surprised that I'm willing to share. So I've found that just being vulnerable, sharing the uncomfortable things helps me to process what I'm going through in a different way. I am the author of a book called Eyes on the Road that I published last year. And it is a lot of commentary and short form prose about healing, about navigating heavy emotions and just moving through difficult life seasons. I don't think of myself as an expert, but more somebody who is thinking about and chronicling what I'm continuing to go through. That's me.
That's a lot of things.
Yeah, I love pull-ups and pizza, and of course, spending time with my family. And yeah, that's it.
No, that's so good. I've been following your work for years now. It feels like years. I don't know when you first started writing and putting it on Instagram, but Michell, I've been following you for years. And what I love, there are many things I love about it, but one of the things that I love about it is that you put words to my feelings. That many times I'm having this thought or feeling in my body and I don't know how to articulate it. And then I'll pick up my phone and I'll go on Instagram and I see a post of yours. I'm like, oh my God, he put words to the thoughts that are in my head.
I appreciate that. I think the benefit of being an overthinker who writes is that eventually the writing helps me to get out of what you were calling that feeling you can't quite describe. And so it all comes from my late night thought sessions or writing sessions when I'm like, I feel something and I don't quite know where it's coming from. And so it's always awesome when somebody like you can also resonate with what I'm going through.
Yeah, no, like we're living parallel lives in that sense, right? And also too, we were talking right before I hit record about Corey Allen. He was on the show a few weeks ago. We were talking about his new book, and I'm such a fangirl of his work as well for the same reason, is that he's able to articulate these feelings and thoughts that I have, and then he writes them so succinctly and so beautifully. I'm like, yes, Corey. Yes, that's it. So both of you together are like a dynamic duo. Like you guys are my therapy. The two of you guys together like get me through a lot of like tricky points in my day.
Yeah, Corey is brilliant. And I love that you use the word concise because Corey will take what I might have spent a paragraph going through and be like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, that is what it is. He's so good at that. Great friend of mine. Brilliant writer.
Yeah, both of you are brilliant writers. You recently wrote a piece, it's a beautiful piece on Substack called Parenthood, the Most Beautiful Mess. And I really enjoyed that. And I wanted to talk about it today, explore a little bit about it. Why is parenthood a beautiful mess?
Because there is no way to navigate parenthood without getting a little bit messy. You know this. You are constantly exhausted. You are overwhelmed. I am neurodivergent and react differently to being touched a lot and getting water poured on me and all the things, right? There is always so much going on. And I haven't even discussed the impact of capitalism on parenting in 2024. And so it's a lot every day. And at the same time, parenthood shows you how to love more deeply. I've loved my wife since before she was my girlfriend. I love people. I love myself. I think that I've always known what love is. But for me, it was the moment when my wife was giving birth and the doctor said, I need the dad right here to come catch Ada, my daughter. And I was like, wait, I'm the dad.
You're like, wait, that's me.
Yeah, that was my first time realizing that I was no longer a dad in training. My moment had arrived. And to hold precious, vulnerable, new life in your hands like that came from you, that came from your lineage, and to know that I am in charge of protecting, providing for it, taking care of this life, to experience that redefines what love means to you. And that love is what has carried me through so many difficult and messy seasons. And so you can't have parenthood without the beautiful love and without the mess.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a household with a lot of love?
Yeah, absolutely. Mother and father, and then a brother who was about 4.5 years younger than me. but the love was always very evident. And of course, it showed up differently as it does for different generations and different people. But the love was always apparent.
I knew as I was asking that question, I was like, I know he's going to say yes because you radiate that love. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I could just tell that you came from a family where your mother loved you with all of her heart because you pass that on in your work and you pass that on with your relationship with Ada and with your wife.
Thank you so much. That's the goal. I was just texting my parents earlier this morning, actually, but they have always told me and showed me they love me deeply.
Yeah, no, I could tell. Like I said, it comes through in your work and like how you are just as a person. Like you radiate a certain level of light, and that comes from the security in knowing that you're loved.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it also does come from, for me, the seasons where I did feel very lonely. The love felt further away because of where I was physically and who I was surrounded with socially. And so my hope is that some of what I write about, and even just when I talk to somebody, that they can also feel a degree of love or at least care and concern.
Yeah, no, it comes through in your work. So you have a nearly 3-year-old daughter. What are some of the things that you have learned and picked up on in your parenthood journey so far? Now, again, 3 she's pretty young. My son now is 11 and a half. I've been a parent for a minute. And so you get to see a lot in the course of a decade. But even between 0 and 3, you see a lot. So what are some of the things that you've picked up so far?
I think one of the most important things that I've picked up on is it's very obvious, but it's not. In that when you're going through things as a parent, you are caught up in, is she eating enough? Is she healthy? Is she going to reach this milestone? But Ada's not going to remember that. She's going to remember that she was loved and that she felt safe. And so it is so true and so apparent that kids don't learn what you tell them. Even when they understand your words, they learn what you display and reflect back to them. And so when I am stressed, because capitalism, professional life, insert thing here, when I am stressed, when I am dysregulated, when I am not myself, surprise, she is also less patient. She is more clingy. She is more prone to crying. She wants her mommy because I'm not in a healthy space. And so I have learned that when I am more intentional about regulating myself, giving myself what I need to be in a good space, she's happier. We have more fun together. And it sounds so simple. And sometimes it is well, duh, Mikhail. But at the same time, before I was a parent, when I was just trying to adult, not on advanced mode, but on regular mode, which is still hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's like the final boss of adulthood.
Yeah.
But when I was in that season, I was less conscious of how my energy and how my state of being can impact people around me. Parenthood has pushed me to triple down on that level of awareness.
It's true. I'm glad you mentioned that because until I was a parent, I never really thought much about energy and vibes. And we have sort of a saying in our family about bringing the high vibes, because if how you mentioned, when you're feeling dysregulated, you're feeling low in a certain way, the whole rest of the family is going to feed off of that. And so sometimes it's a matter of excusing yourself and, going into your own room until you can regulate. And then you could come back and then be at a point where we could all sort of, for lack of a better term, vibe together,
Absolutely.
And I never realized that as an adult. Like you said, only until I became a parent did I realize that, my son feeds off of that. My husband feeds off of that. We're all feeding off of that all together. And when I think back about my own childhood, that was so very true with my mom, right? If she came home from work and she was super stressed, which let me tell you, she was, that fed into the whole rest of the vibe of the family. And I don't think most people give that enough credit because, like you said, I think it comes down to awareness. And I don't think that people often have the awareness about the vibes that they're bringing into a situation.
Absolutely. I know for me, there are a lot of moments when I carry guilt because there are certain things that biologically and socially speaking, I can't do that my wife can only do. When Ada is in need of a lot of comfort and she needs to breastfeed, I'm useless, right?
You're not the guy.
Right. I'm not that guy. I can sit there and be encouraging or, bring her what she might need, but I can't do those things. And so there was a season where I was trying to kind of constantly push through to make up for that. And Dwanisha, my wife, told me that it's like you actually need to take that space because you're grumpy and you're tired and you're in pain. I have a chronic pain in my neck and back, and it's actually better if you take space and come back. And so that was an important thing for me to learn.
Yeah, no, it really is important. And that doesn't happen overnight. I think that there's a definite learning process and a journey that has to go into both a relationship, but also the inner work that you do yourself to know, like, you know what, I need to step away.
Mm-hmm.
Like the healthiest thing for all of us right now is for me to go step away until I can come back and deal with this situation appropriately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's something that has changed you as a person since becoming a parent?
Honestly, finding out that I would become a father, which kind of predates being a parent, but I think for me, it started there. Me and my wife are both, she was my wife at that point too. Everything happened so fast. But me and my wife are navigating the intensity of your late 20s when, the age of 30 is approaching and you have, again, all these expectations for yourself. We were living in our second apartment together, had been living together for just over a year. And so the kind of honeymoon phase of also being roommates had passed. And so there were just all these little things that they mattered, but they didn't. But we were caught up in the minutia. And then she came home one day. She had been out with some friends and she passed me this little pregnancy test and said, I got to tell you something. And within half an hour, I was in the bathtub crying, bawling, playing The Two of Us by Will Smith.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because she recorded it. But it reset every priority that I thought I had. Like what is more important than taking care of your now pregnant wife and preparing for your soon-to-be child? All the little things just became so much less important. And it really pushed me to reprioritize, I think, my emotional investment in a lot of situations, the way that I structured my days to, again, prioritize what is most important. Just so many things in the snap of a finger, like Thanos, just became less important.
Poof. Do that. Everything just fades away.
Just like that.
I love that reference because I'm a huge fan of the MCU. I'm like ride or die MCU. So
same here.
Love that reference. You recently, I'm taking this on a different turn, but because I want to ask all 1,000 questions about this. You recently were hand selected by Meta to attend a trip in Los Angeles, California, with a bunch of other content creators because they recognized you as a shining star. Tell me about this trip.
Well, first of all, you saying that is wild because I'm still like, wait, that was me on that trip, getting invited places. It was amazing. I love the West Coast. I had a great time. I met so many amazing and brilliant people. And, we went out there because we had been chosen because we were active on Threads, the new platform. I do, of course, a lot of content creation on social media. And so it felt special to be seen in that way by, the biggest social media focused company in the world, one, and by a company that, is the owner of platforms that I'm active on. It's very close to home. And so it felt cool. I haven't gotten a ton of awards or honors per se. I have a lot of, support from my community, but it's not, well, here's the award for whatever. I don't get that. And so that felt special. And the trip was just really refreshing. It was a lot of lifestyle creators who are more on camera, who are more so documenting moments than me, where I'll be like up at 1 o'clock in the morning, like, oh, I'll publish this. Then it'll be text on a white background. And so that was cool. It pulled me out of my comfort zone. And I think it actually pushed me to get back into doing on camera stuff, which is awesome. And I think just the being around people from all over the country who approach their content creation and business in different ways is awesome. I went to Paramount Studios and I saw, have you seen Coming to America?
Yeah, of course.
They had the statue of Eddie Murphy's dad. I was like, where's my son? Like in the background. It was just so many cool things from my childhood that I saw there. So it was amazing. Stayed at the Beverly Wilshire. Did not want to leave. The food was fantastic. And yeah, I need to get back to LA.
That's amazing. I saw pictures of it because one of my very close friends, Dina Lang, was selected to attend. And so she was sending me pictures like the entire time. And there was also pictures of other creators. There was a girl, Gigi, who I know, and she was there too. And so she takes like gorgeous pictures. And I was like, oh man, I have such FOMO for this, but everyone was having like the most amazing time. Because actually 2 weeks before that, I was selected to go to a summer camp called Cedar Lakes Estate with the Meta team. And so Gigi was actually at that trip with me, and there was a handful of other creators too. Also, they were mostly lifestyle / fitness creators too. I was the only parent on the one that I attended. And I know Dina and I were joking that she was like, I think I'm the only parent here. And I was like, well, you're not the only parent. Close.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah. Dina's great. Gigi's a star. It's so many vibrant personalities and passionate people. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's wonderful that creators are starting to get the recognition for all of their hard work because people are putting in so much time and so much energy to creating content to keep these platforms running that it's nice that the platforms are saying like, hey, you know what, let's take the opportunity to give shout outs and give props where it's due. Did you guys get swag?
I hate the word swag. Nothing.
Did you guys get stuff?
But no, we got a good amount of stuff. We got a lot of good stuff.
That's awesome. I'll ask Dina. I'll ask Dina off camera and be like, what? You didn't even tell me what you got in the swag.
No,
I'll ask her that.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. But it really is, it's nice to be able to meet other creators and then bounce ideas off of them. And like you said, your takeaway was like, oh, you know what? Let me try to do some more on camera stuff. Because when I think of you as a creator, I think of you obviously as text-based. I'm not like thinking you're jumping up on a reel and talking about the things that you're writing about. I mean, obviously you could be, but that's not necessarily where I see you.
Yeah. The funny thing is I've spoken more this year than I've probably ever spoken in my entire life. I've done a keynote speech, I've performed poetry, I've done workshops and like all the things. And so it's time that people knew more about what I can do on stage and on camera. And so that was a push for me.
Yeah. You recently, I did see that online. You recently did a keynote and a poetry read. Was it in Philly?
One was in New York and one was in Philly. I've actually spoken in Philly twice this year too. So yeah, lots of different things happening.
You got to like pat yourself on the back because you're doing some amazing things. Really,
So
like you
much.
should. Yeah, you gotta take that. So you also have a book called Eyes on the Road. Tell me a little bit about the book. There it is. There
Shameless
it is.
plug.
Yeah, that's fine. Do it.
Yeah. Eyes on the Road is a book that I've written over the past I wrote over about 3 years. And it was kind of a slow drip. It was inspired by things that I've wrote on social media, but it's a deeper dive. It's things that I can't quite fit into a post, but that I still want to say. And I call it Eyes on the Road because I first heard that phrase when I was learning to drive from my father. And, when you're first learning to drive, it's so overwhelming. There's things to the left, things to the right. You can't hit the curb. You can't swerve into traffic. You have to watch the lights. Like, it goes on and on. Everything just feels overwhelming. And the premise is that in life, you have to also keep your eyes on the road, while dealing with heavy emotions and lots of plot twists and things you just can't account for or expect. And it's important to remember that you can cry and keep your eyes on the road at the same time. You can feel whatever you may be feeling. You can experience all the things and still remain focused and do what you have to do. And so giving yourself permission to feel what you feel, allowing yourself to not run away from how you want to react to what is going on in your life, while still taking ownership of your ability to think about how you're going to respond in real time. And so it's a lot of short form prose, a bit of poetry, and a few real life recollections from myself about what that means.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. What inspires you?
I think I am inspired by the belief that our minds are powerful. We can quite literally change the nature of the world that we experience as people by being mindful and decisive about what we focus on. And so I think about the kind of life that I want to live and the world that I want to create. I recently spoke in Philly, and a big point that I made is that we are all, I despise the word influencer, but we are all influential because we all are colliding with people, sometimes metaphorically, sometimes literally, every day. If we have this conversation right now, my energy impacts your energy and vice versa. And so when you think about that, we're actually all very powerful people. The way that we mindfully and intentionally show up in this world, is make or break for people around us. And so if the writing that I share, if my message can help anybody to be more kind to themselves, and as a result to feel empowered to be more kind, to be more patient, to offer more grace to others, that shifts the nature of the world for people. That's a powerful thing. And so I want people to remember their power, that they hold to change the nature of the world they experience, and what others around them experience from them.
Is back to school shopping stressing you out, dreading long lists and running from store to store, hunting for those supplies? Ugh, I get it. Me too. This year, there's a better way. Introducing teacherlists.com, the website that makes back to school shopping a breeze. Teacher Lists takes teachers' back to school supply lists and transform them into easy to use shoppable lists online. That means no more scrambling to find the right notebooks or those mystery markers. Teacher Lists connects with major retailers like Target, Walmart, Amazon, Staples, and more. So you could shop for everything you need at your favorite store with just a click. No more running from store to store. Teacher Lists ensures that you get the exact items that your child's teacher wants, so your child is fully prepared and confident on the first day of school. This back to school season, ditch the stress and embrace the ease. Head over to teacherlists.com to order those supplies today. Happy shopping! I love your quotes so much. I often repost them on Instagram in my stories, and I'm always like saying, like, you guys got to follow him. He's amazing. You have a new print shop out for when people want to take these quotes, put them on the wall so that they could stare at them all day, every day, put them in the office, put them in your bedroom, put them in your living room, whatever. Tell me about this print shop. How did that come to be?
My print shop, I think it actually happened about 2 years late based on when I wanted to start to create art. But if you see a lot of my quotes, they pertain to imposter syndrome directly or indirectly. That is not something I have let go of completely. I still question myself often. And so I found myself drawn to visual art. I'm looking at the print on my wall right now. I found myself drawn to visual art as a different form of creative expression about 2 years back when my wife and I launched our agency, the Creative Summer Company, and we do a lot of work for clients that involve social media. And so we were jumping on different things. I was learning design from her. And I said to myself one day, I'm pretty good at this. I know what I'm doing. I have an eye for it and I enjoy it. I had been almost only writing as far as creative mediums go for about a decade. And so I'm sure you could imagine it felt really refreshing to find a new medium that I felt confident in, that I thought that I was good at. But something held me back from actually pressing the go button and putting out my own stuff. Years of therapy and general planning later, I came back to the thought and said that I was ready. And I think that was January of this year. I also had lost some clients and frankly was tired of chasing clients. I think that client work is fantastic if your heart's in it. And my heart is just not in it right now. And so I decided that I wanted to build something that didn't require me to do things that felt out of alignment. And so I launched the print shop, a very original name, Prince by Michell. You'll never guess how I came up with it. But I launched it in February and found that I just really enjoyed it. It's not a huge moneymaker right now, but it's fulfilling. And people are telling me that now they can have physical reminders of the things that I've written that resonate with them, and they can look at them in key moments of their life. And so I think I love the thought of being able to give people messages they don't have to get on their phone for, but they can just look at their wall for. They could be in their office or their bathroom or their living room or wherever it might be and feel what they need to feel as a result of the art that I've been creating. And so I'm enjoying it. It's nice to, again, just have a different form of art I think it pushes me to be a better writer as well as a better designer. And so I enjoy it. I am deep in the weeds on building out kind of the behind the scenes systems and all the things that will allow it to be sustainable. But I enjoy it. I like making art. And one thing I've been researching lately is the impact of having biophilic art in your home, which is art that depicts nature, art that shows water or trees or sunlight. And a lot of research shows that just having that in your home can make you feel better and make you feel happier. And so, I'm starting to build out a lot more art that has, landscape imagery and different forms of nature as an extra bonus, an additional way to make people feel better, not just based on the actual words, but also on the inclusion of nature.
I love
And
that.
think
It
that's
is
really
very cool. I'm dying to know, what is the quote above your head? Because you looked at it a couple times as we were talking.
Yeah, I have no poker face. It is. It's actually the same quote. I kind of flipped the quote on the back of my book. So the print says you can cry and keep your eyes on the road at the same time. And it's a reminder that you can feel all the feels while still moving forward with life.
You talk a lot about imposter syndrome, and I think that's something that is so relatable for so many people across different industries, right across the board, right? That's something that actually, we were talking about my friend Dina before. Dina actually was on, God, what was it, like the Today Show? She was on TV talking about having imposter syndrome. So she's like go-to expert on that. So shout out to Dina for that. But, that's something that I struggle with every day. Like, I've been doing this job for 8 years now. I'm always like, but why me? Nobody cares what Tara Clark has to say. And I still to this day think that. And I don't know, maybe they don't. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, thank you, baby. I appreciate that. But that's the thing. that's the voice in the back of your head. That's sort of that nagging imposter syndrome voice.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think the thing that I had to learn is that it never goes away. I've been fortunate enough to speak to people that I look up to or admire or have learned from, and they'll be on this big stage. And I'll talk after. They'll be like, "Was it good? Did you like it?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're like me." Like, it's not that I'm not good enough yet. It's that we get better at learning
Yes.
to manage it, and that is a really, really comforting
Yes, that's what it
sentiment
is. We're
for me.
getting better at managing it. I think that is probably the biggest
Hmm.
takeaway from all of those things. It's that everyone has it. They're
Yeah.
just dealing with it differently. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of dealing
Yep.
with
Yep.
things
Yep.
differently, I ask this question to all of my guests, whether they are mothers or fathers, or whether they don't have children at all, because I asked it to Corey Allen and he gave me a phenomenal answer. No surprise there. Yeah, of course, naturally,
Of
of course, he's
course.
going to come up with a brilliant, I think. What do you think is the biggest modern mom problem out there right now?
Modern mom problem. I want to specify some parameters, right? Is it problems that moms experience
Could be
or
either.
perpetuate?
I'll let dealer's choice.
Hmm. I think the biggest problem, I'll talk about it from my vantage point as a father. I think the biggest modern mom problem is the way that people who are not moms treat moms and lack empathy for moms. I am clearly right there in the field with her as Ada's father. And there are still so many things that I cannot do or I'm not conditioned to do as a father. And so when I think about moms, I think about not only parenting, but the fact that parenthood starts aggressively for moms 9 months earlier. Fathers prepare, but we eat whatever we want to. We're not worried about all these different health shifts. And it is very easy for me, if I'm not mindful, to get going. I'm, of course, busy. There are things going on. There's always something else to worry about, but to not also think about the fact that, hey, yes, things are hard for you, but there is a bit more happening for your wife right now because she is also quite literally carrying a baby inside of her body. And so she is navigating what you're navigating professionally, emotionally, mentally, while carrying around a watermelon essentially inside of her stomach. And that goes forward into childhood. There was a conversation last year about mothers who are bringing their kids into supermarkets. And people were talking about people were coming back to the belief that, I just don't think, I don't think parents should even bring their kids into supermarkets or just make that baby be quiet. Like, give them what they need to be quiet. It's like, have y'all
Yeah.
been
Have you
around
ever
kids
seen a
before?
child?
Have y'all experienced a 2-year-old before? One, I don't know that it's ever fair to assume that a parent, much less a mother who is oftentimes the one who spends more time with the kid, has the option of either delaying getting food or leaving a kid with somebody else. Um, if you've been around a toddler for any period of time, you know that we don't get to tell them to be quiet. They tell us what to do directly or indirectly very often. And so there are just so many misconceptions about what it means to be a mother, how much goes into it. Um, People are inviting us to like parties at clubs still. And it's like, but how? Like, were we thought of in a loving way or as an add-on? And like, why is it so much easier for me to get out everywhere and go all these places when she has even more to account for? Um, I do my best to be a very present father, and I still miss it. And I think I'm doing okay, right? And so there's this ongoing lack of empathy, and lack of ability to see what goes into motherhood and how it continues to impact mothers. I want to say the body starts to get back to normal 2 to 3 years later. And so that's 3
it's a
years of
long
life.
time.
And that should be taken into consideration more
Absolutely.
often.
I want to ask your question because you had mentioned about problems that moms perpetuate. So let's get into that one.
Mm-hmm. I want to be very specific here. I cannot come onto a podcast and be like, "Mom's got to fix this." That's not my role. It's not my place. I think that a problem that moms sometimes can perpetuate happens because of dynamics between men and women. I believe it's true that men, boys, are taught to be confident, whereas women are taught to be aware and diligent. There are things that I was not brought up to think about. There are things that I am just now learning to be mindful of that are second nature to my wife because she was raised in a different way. I had a stay-at-home mom. I did not learn to think about the world in certain ways, and I'm just now catching up. And so I think a problem that mothers sometimes can perpetuate, for reasons that can be valid in the short term, is to not bring their partners into the weight of what they are carrying. And sometimes the problem is it looks like either I overwhelm, terrify, or harm my partner because they're not ready for the weight of what I need to share, or I carry it all here. The mom might carry it all inside and cry by herself and yell into the void when I can't hear, or, keep their struggles to themselves and create an environment where the dad's like, "Oh, I'm killing this fatherhood thing." But we just don't know. Like, we just don't know what's going on. And so then we don't know where the resentment comes from. We don't know where the frustration comes from. We don't know why a little thing feels like a really big and heavy thing because we don't know about the 85,000 things that happened beforehand that make this one issue feel like, a repeat issue. And so I think that something that is perpetuated as a result of gender dynamics is that moms oftentimes do not feel empowered to and do not speak up about things that are hurting them in household
That
dynamics.
does happen a lot. This is something that we've covered on other episodes with, other people, therapists, medical professionals, to have the conversation, to be able to sit down with your partner and say, "Hey, listen, this is what's going on." Do you think it's because people are scared to bring it up to their partner because I think it's just, I cannot have this conversation with them? Like, it's just not going to go well?
I think it's different case by case. I think that that is certainly a possibility. I think sometimes maybe the mom is scared or maybe the husband is scared. I think it also goes back to, again, the way that we're socialized in a patriarchal world. Women are not socialized to speak up. And when they do, they get called things that men don't get called. That's a big part of it.
I agree. I definitely think that's true. But it's beautiful now as a father to a daughter, you can sort of like be the change that you want to see in the world.
That is the hope and the aspiration. Absolutely. I'll tell you one thing. Ada's going to speak up for herself. The funniest thing she does right now is if, for example, we're like wrestling and like I hit her with the pillow when it hurts, she'll be like, "That hurt. Why would you do that?" And then she'll go, "Can you ask mommy?" And by ask mommy, she means tell mommy. And I'll, if I can't get to her, she'll, "Mommy, daddy hit me with the pillow. I didn't like that. And she'll do that
Good.
for everything. And so she's
Good.
on her way, I think, to being a
Good.
vocal
I'm
and
so
empowered
happy
leader.
to hear that because so many times little kids are taught like, oh, just, just sit and be pretty or just, oh, sit and be happy, just sit and be cute.
Yeah,
Like, don't speak up for yourself. Don't advocate for yourself. But it's so important right from jump, right from 2, 3 years old to advocate yourself. If you get popped in the face with
yeah.
a pillow and you're like, I don't like that, then yeah, say something. You don't have to just sit there and smile and look cute and take it.
Even if it's daddy
Yeah,
and authority
anybody.
figure or
Yeah,
whatever
it's
else.
true. So good for you. Good for your wife. I think that is amazing. Michell C. Clark. Wait, one question before I even wrap this up. What's the C stand for? Christopher. Okay.
Christopher.
Nice. I like it. Okay. Tell everyone, where can we find you online?
All the places, pretty much every platform. I am Michell C. Clark. I have, of course, the print shop, printsbymichell.com. If you want to book me for a speaking engagement or a campaign or whatever else it might be, michellcclark.com. I am most active on Instagram, and I post pages from my book for free at TikTok at Michell C. Clark. And I have a Substack that I am back to getting consistent.
I just subscribed to it. I subscribed to yours and Corey's at the same time. So you have me as, you're welcome, as a reader. How are you liking Threads? Because like you're obviously active enough on Threads that Meta's like, hey, this guy deserves a all-included paid trip to Los Angeles because he's crushing it on Threads. Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying Threads. The cool thing about Threads is that I don't have to have a plan per se. Because of how Meta pulled people over from Instagram, I have an audience of over 100,000 people, and I don't really have to have a specific focus. I can, share my typical content and talk about healing and perseverance and moving on and growth and all those things. And I can talk about pizza, and I can, complain about how Scandal ended because I'm finally watching it, and I think it was egregious that they cut it short, right? It's a new platform. People are looking for different things, and we can, as a result, just kind of jump in and talk about different stuff. It feels very discussion fueled, whereas Instagram kind of became, I think Instagram is more the main stage. Whereas Threads feels like the kickback, where you can just talk to people and engage and interact in
it's the after
a
party.
more intimate way.
Right? Like Instagram's the party and Threads is the after party. I agree. I love it. I've been finding that I'm spending more of my time on Threads than on Instagram. And for me personally, I'm more myself on Threads than I am on Instagram because I don't have to be performative. Like I feel one has to be performative on Instagram. I don't feel like that on Threads. So like if people follow me on Threads, like that's the real Tara. I'm going to talk about like last night I had posted about like how many cherries is too many cherries to eat before you get sick. Like that's something that I'll post on Threads that I won't post on Instagram. Right. And you know what? That popped off because people were answering all kinds of questions. They're like, oh, you'll know your stomach's going to let you know how many cherries is enough.
I didn't know that was a contentious point of conversation.
No,
they
didn't. I don't know. They didn't give me a specific number that they were like, your body will let you know when you've had enough.
That feels valid for
it is.
all foods.
It is. Because I don't know. I was sitting there yesterday and I was eating these cherries. I just bought them at the supermarket and they were so good. And I was just going to town on them. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how many I should eat before I should just call it. I had 20. The answer to that question was 20. And I felt good at that.
Just back to back?
It was a lot, right? I thought it was so many that I thought to write a thread about it. Like it wasn't like 2 or 3. It was 20. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. But a couple people were like, oh, they have the same effect as like prunes. So you got to be careful. And I was like, okay. Good to know.
What?
All right. I won't like eat 20 and then like go out somewhere. I could eat 20 and like stay home and hang out. It's like I'll stay close to home just in case. But
fair. Well, I hope you got the big plastic.
I got the bag. I go to Stop and Shop and I got the bag from Stop and Shop. So,
okay.
But yeah, that's what it is. But that's the kind of stuff you could put on Threads. Like you want to talk about real stuff.
I say you talk about it on Threads. You know what? I want to compliment you on your broadcast channel on Instagram, because each day I get the notification that you're posting something on your broadcast channel, which is like then taking me to your main account. And I have to give you props for that, because a lot of people have started broadcast channels. No one knows what to do with them. You show up every day on that and you're consistent, and I appreciate it. I feel like you are the model of how someone should use broadcast channels. And I should like go tell my people like Carly and all those guys, like I got to tell the people like, he's crushing it on the broadcast. He's the only one that knows what to do with broadcast channels, the only guy. But because I myself, I'm like, I don't know, what do I use this for? I'm not sure. But you're doing it every day and you're showing up and you're consistent. And I'm always nodding my head to all of your posts, because you're putting words in articulating. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Problems. Here you are writing them out. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, so much. Your host, so thanks for coming today, spending a little bit of time with us, when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem.
Thank you so
if
much
you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and rate us. As always, you can head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, a survival guide for 21st century mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time,
realize that things pass, and to just give myself a bit more credit.
Summer. Wait, we need to finish school shopping.
We've got this. Target has $5 lunch boxes.
And now new lower prices on the kids' favorite Good and Gather snacks.
And we're done.
Now, where were we?
When it comes to finishing your supply list, Target has your back to school.
Oh, I've got too many bills.
If you need funds, you can apply in minutes at cashnetusa.com and have the money in your account as soon as the same business day.
Okay, got it. Applying now.
They've been helping hardworking people cover emergency expenses since 2004.
Hey, look, I got it.
You've got this.
When you need money fast, be the hero. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times. See cashnetusa.com for more details.
At Best Western, when you stay 3 nights this summer, you earn 10,000 bonus points. And while you're reliving your summer childhood road trip memories, they're creating new ones. So check into any one of our more than 2,300 hotels and make more memories to look back on. Here, we'll set the scene.
You put the love right on me.
Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Visit bestwestern.com for terms and conditions.
Fresh Step knows you'd do anything for your cat. From getting them food that's nicer than yours to letting them take a midday nap on your keyboard. So why settle for basic litter? Switch to Fresh Step. Fresh Step cat litter locks in liquid and odor on contact, giving you up to 15 days of odor control. Learn more at freshstep.com. Step it up to Fresh Step with superior odor control. Versus leading value clumping litter, Fresh Step is a registered trademark of the Clorox Pet Products Company. Febreze is used under license from the Procter & Gamble Company or its affiliates.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.